Well, I started off at the age of 19 in a division called the Programme Planning Department, and we scheduled the programmes for Granada TV and ITV. So I did that at the beginning and sort of at the end of my career down in London. The environment is really important that we put ourselves in, and I'd ended up with this job that was so deeply depressing me. It was I was ending up in such a state that just walking into that building was making me ill, was making me poorly. We get so carried away doing life for everybody else.
Exactly.
The end result of everything that we do is a release. It's called a detox symptom. And it could be yawning, laughter, burping, the other end, sweating, cold, feeling a little bit dizzy. All of those are detox symptoms, but the yawn in particular became a real significant issue that I needed to look deeper into. During lockdown, I created a training school based on a new modality called TARC EFT. And EFT is emotional freedom technique. Live for Energy Training College, and we do a lot of the science now as well behind the courses. So I have what's called a weirdoscope. Oh, I should have put it on actually.
Welcome to Ask the Author, a show about inspiring stories and conversations by creatives and all forms of art, music, movies, visual art, authors, creative writing, poetry, dance, culinary art, among others. Brought to you by the multi-award-winning author, life coach, and poet, Richard Mwebesa.
Tired. Oh, me too. I'm exhausted. I didn't sleep last night. Oh, I didn't sleep last night either. So that conversation is an immediate response to one action that is happening all around the world. Now, that contagious action is creating a spiral of negativity in that conversation. And my query was, well, what happens if we can change just the language of the yawn to one of hope, creativity, possibility, and relief?
Wow.
And by educating people literally one yawn at a time, that when you do that great big yawn that makes your eyes water and your ears buzz and your mouth feel like you're going to eat the room, and people smile at you because they think this is a really crazy conversation, you've already changed somebody's state just by talking about yawning. But then when you actually say, that was a fantastic yawn, well done. And then they really look at you like you're crazy. And they go, nobody told me that I've got a great yawn. And I say, yes, isn't that strange? And yet you do it every single day. So how long have you been thinking that you are boring, exhausting, hungry, thirsty? And who told you that? And how
You're tired.
Yeah, and tired. And yet, that yawn, we're finding out with an awful lot of research, is actually just changing your state. Now, that state might be connected to sex. It might be connected to actually needing to change your body state from one of a really exhausted day into a more relaxed state so that you can make love to your husband and your wife. But because we're so conditioned to think of that of exhaustion, it's like, no, it's because I'm so tired and then I need to sleep. But what if it's not? What if just that conditioning of changing our thoughts about that one action actually helps us to become more positive and accepting of these natural things that our body does innately, because we can only yawn when we feel safe. So
True.
What if every time we yawn, we're actually going deeper into the safety of our own body without having to wait for 7 o'clock at yoga or 8 o'clock prayer session? We can do it now with a 6-second yawn. Wouldn't that help us all? And
interesting.
then allow us to get on with the rest of our day and actually continue working.
I know a yawn is contagious because once someone yawns in the room, everyone else will feel like yawning. Actually, they get to yawn as well. So, as I said, the yawn language, how do you then relate that with mental health? Healing. I know you've just explained that, but being an ocean, do you have research behind it and some historical facts about what the yawning experience does to a human body that you want to share with us?
Well, there's still an awful lot of research to be done on the yawn, and that's what makes this so absolutely exciting, because we don't have all the answers. And actually, when there is an expert who says that this is exactly as it is, people will believe that. Whereas when we say, this is really exciting, we don't have all the answers, but what if, because you do this every day, you can just go and experience your own yawns in the safety of your own environment and see what happens for you, see what experiences, how does it make you feel? Do you feel it in the back of your neck? Do you feel it down in the pit of your tummy? Do you complete a yawn, or do you feel it catch in your chest? Does it catch in your jaw? Are you able to open your mouth really, really wide and complete that yawn, or does it get stuck? And if it's got stuck, what's happening and why? What's happening there and then in the middle of that yawn that is not allowing you to complete that yawn? And when you just ask these really gentle, simple questions that take you away from everything else that's going on in the world, because you're immediately back with your body. You're present.
So yawn response is a mental health or therapeutic tool that can be used to bring healing?
Yeah.
Would I be correct to say that?
Well, that's what we're finding. We're finding that the what we call energy workers, people who are doing the Reiki, NLP, hypnosis, the deep healings, detoxing, even food, nourishment, nutrition, yoga, all of these experiences that people are having where there is a physical, where there is a hole in your body and your body excretes something from it, we seem to think there is a problem with that. And it's like, oh no, I'm sweating, I'm hot, I've had to go here, and there's no reason for it. Actually, there's always a reason for that hole to be used to expand that old information out of your body, because it's physically impossible to hold it all in. But when you think about the yawn and how it affects your jaw, for those who are listening, just tune into your jaw and see if it's tight, to see how clenched your jaw might be, to see if that might actually be attached to any emotions like anger or frustration. Veterans, people who are traumatized, will usually have very tight jaws. Now, the more you're able to just give yourself permission to yawn and relax this jaw area, the more you're allowing your ears to open so you can hear more things, your eyes to open so that you can see more things, for your neck muscles here, which are connected, exactly the same muscles for the yawn are connected, are the same muscles for public speaking and singing. So anyone who teaches public speaking and singing will be telling the people that they're training to yawn, to relax these muscles.
Relax the muscles. Wow.
Interestingly, exactly the same muscles are also used for retching.
For retching? Ah, yes.
Retching. And when over here in the West, we have a huge problem with mental health and eating disorders. So if we can normalize yawning and talking about it, is there a possibility we might actually help those areas? And the answer is, we have no idea. But when something is so simple and free, and it's an education that we're giving people as to, well, these are the same muscles, so what might happen if you try it? And then we're gathering that information so that we've got that information to add to our social research.
Okay, interesting. Coming to your book, what's the title of your book, and what is it about?
Well, the new book that I'm writing at the moment hasn't got a title, but the book that I've already written is called The Spiral of Life, bridging the gap, really, of energy and your soul. So it's there are two ways. The TARC EFT is already out there, and that gives people a way in to the work that I'm doing for the Great Big Yawn. The Yawning book that I'm putting together isn't quite ready yet. I'm still in the throes of putting all that together, which is quite exciting, because new information just keeps coming in, and I keep thinking, oh, I just want to add that bit in and have that bit in.
I hear you. Yeah. Okay. So as we come towards the end of conversation today, there's a bit of a historical construct about the yawning. I mean, different cultures probably interpret it differently. As you mentioned earlier, tiredness, fatigue, boredom. Okay, rarely would someone be angry and yawn. It doesn't work that way from where I come from in Uganda, but I believe there is something around it. And as you mentioned, how does someone get to yawn and not feel judged? I mean, it's a reflex that you cannot. It comes uninvited or unintentioned, but when you yawn in public, people will stare at you and say, "Hey, wait a minute, what's happening?" It's more like a private moment. Issue. That said, can you give a bit of historical perspective? Is there any data or information about different cultures and how they interpret a yawn all over the world?
Yeah, I mean, there are some cultures that yawning is actually seen as spiritually as a sort of letting the devil inside.
What?
Yeah. So there is always a way around that, because the actual pushing back down and keeping your mouth closed and trying to push that yawn back down takes so much energy. And what you're actually trapping back inside you is, I'm not good enough. I'm naughty. I'm really not great at I'm pushing all those feelings back down, which is not going to do you any good. So what we're suggesting is, what happens if we're not taking away any of those beliefs, but what if you just put your hand over your mouth, which I do or anyway, because I'm very protective over what I do let in the holes, in your body. They are your holes, so be very protective and, hold your hand there. But that doesn't mean then you can't complete that yawn. It gives you the great space to actually open your mouth very wide and just allow that to happen rather than pushing it back down. And then our question is, and if you do that, how does that then make you feel? And from the contagious point of view, we now have Andrew Gallup, who is one of the top scientific researchers on the yawn. He does thermology and contagious yawning research, and he's just agreed to be on our panel as part of the Great Big Yawn, and I'm going to be doing a podcast with him where he's going to be giving a lot of his information, which people can come and have a listen to, and then ask questions about along the period of the next year. So as we train people up to become yawnologists, it's not just me talking about the yawn. We're training people up so that they can then start talking about the yawn, asking these questions, asking the people in their communities about their experience with the yawn. We're going to collect that data together so that the whole of humanity are part of this research. Together we're doing it. It's not just Rachel Earring's an expert on yawning and yawnology. No, this is a matter of we're all yawning. We're all contagiously spreading something. So what if as a community we are being contagiously creative? Because only growth can happen when we give ourselves permission to be creative. And when I discovered that the yawn is actually happens in the womb, and it came before the breath. The yawn came before the breath, and we yawn in the womb from anything from 12 to 24 weeks. My first question was, wow, I wonder if that's when we became very first conscious of our body and we started to help it grow in the womb with that stretch. And that's when we started to move our muscles and our lymphatic system and our blood supply and our nervous system, because the yawn moves more muscles in your body in that 6 seconds than going to the gym.
Or you just mentioned 6 seconds. So is that how long a yawn lasts averagely? Or
That's an average sort of. Yeah, it's an average sort of yawn. However, we are finding that the more people give themselves permission to complete their yawns, the longer they may yawn.
Okay.
Because they feel more comfortable giving themselves permission to do it.
Okay. Where can someone find your book? Just repeat the title, please, and
The Spiral of Life.
Tell us where we can find it.
Yeah, that one is on liveforenergy.co.uk. It's also on Amazon, and it is on Author House. I can give you the link as well so that you can pop that onto the podcast. And the up and coming book, that's going to be another month or two in the making before that one's released.
We're at the tail end of the conversation as an expert in yawnology. I hope I pronounced it right. As an expert and researcher in that field, quite very exciting, very interesting. I mean, who would have thought that a yawn could be something very, very interesting? I hear you have a movement and you're using it as therapeutic to help your clients and help them discover, solve problems. You've gone into a bit of the science within the construct of the muscles that move when the yawn happens. Quite very, very exciting. So I'll admit I have never heard about this. This is my second time hearing about this ever, and it's quite exciting. I can only wish you the best in your research, and hopefully that you can unfold many more mysteries, I would say, because indeed a yawn is a mystery. I mean, who would guess that a yawn would change someone's life and maybe bring healing to their hearts? But as we come to the end of the conversation, the people you've worked with thus far, with the yawn, the great big yawn, and the work that you're doing, what is that one thing you'd say that gives you fulfillment within this whole construct of what you're doing?
Well, the Great Big Yawn set up as an organisation just over 12 months ago, and the people that have come to us are from Uganda, from Kenya, from Ghana, from Sierra Leone, as well as the UK. And not only do we meet weekly on a free 5 p.m. UK time Zoom on a Wednesday, where you're all welcome to come and find out more and join us. The most amazing projects have come about because of this. Within the period of a couple of weeks, one of our Yawning ambassadors said, "I'm going to write you a children's book about yawning to help get the word out." And she wrote Dreamy's Great Big Yawn, and within a month it was published and on Amazon. We've had poetry go into human trafficking circles and domestic abuse circles, where people who are unable to communicate safely because they're frightened of opening their mouth very wide, our Yawning ambassadors have gone in and written poetry about the yawn and helping them express themselves. We have done a sing-a-thon. We've gone to the very end result of what the yawn is in using the muscles for song with an Israeli group who, it could have been very tense atmosphere, but because the Great Big Yawn is so detached from anything that inflames a subject matter, it appears to be a cooling subject because it's not attached to anything else. So when we talk about yawning, it diffuses so much tension in a room. It brings light, it brings laughter, it brings curiosity, it brings people's stories up that we didn't even think when someone would join in, and they've suddenly disclosed and they said, "I feel more heard and seen in this hour with you than I have ever felt in my life." And that was just an hour of someone spending time with us, talking about yawning and being able to feel they were in a very safe space. So those are just some of the things that we touch upon. But the yawn seems to take us into the most weirdest and wonderful parts of conversation and life. And every conversation is different, and that's what makes it so much fun and full of possibility.
So I like the word possibility, because where possibilities are, innovation is, and a broader perspective of growth and research. The unknown is quite wide, and as I mentioned, it's a space which is quite very, very, very unique, I would say, and not so much research or data is there about it. So you taking center stage, doing your work, I believe is something disruptive. I do not know if you've already patented your work. It looks like a very exciting, uncharted, undiscovered space. But that said, it would be good to get to know much more about your movement, the Great Big Yawn, and I've heard you mention the many countries that are coming on board and what your work has done. So as I wrap up, is the college open for schooling? Do you give diplomas? Do you give degrees or certifications?
The Live for
How does
Energy,
it work?
yeah, the Live for Energy College is certified by the Complementary Medical Association. So there is a practitioner certification that goes so that people can go out and act as practitioners for the TARC, EFT, and the other modalities that are used. The yawnologists, we will be going down the same path. With that, until we've done a little bit more research and it's gone out there, and then as people start to take this on board, then we're hoping to hit the bigger names to get this out there. It all takes time. It's all brand new, and it's all going to change and develop as it develops, and that's why it's so exciting. We're not putting this into tight boundaries and tight holes. We're allowing the people that come on board to be the explorers of the yawn in their community and see where that takes us, and then move with that freely.
Interesting. So if someone wanted to join the college, do you have a virtual class, or only UK people for now can access your trainings?
The
Or
trainings,
is it international?
it will be international. By the end of May, we're looking to be international, and we'll be setting the Zoom online course up for the end of May. Yeah, and then we'll be up and running.
Interesting. Okay, any person out there saying, wow, this is interesting, and they want to find you, would you care to share your website or your details so that anyone who is watching the podcast today can, or listening in, can be able to reach you and probably join your college?
Super. I'm going to send you a QR code that you can put out with this podcast, and people can join then straight into our WhatsApp group. Our email is info@thegreatbigyawn.org, and our website is www.thegreatbigyawn.org. So there's simple ways there for you to get in touch with us. Oh,
Thank you. I'll request.
We're on social media, so there's Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn as well.
Okay, I'll be glad if you could later share with me your handles or your other details. We can get them as name tags on the podcast, so it'll be easy for any person watching to join in. I usually do a recap on the Ask the Author. I recap 5 lessons that we've learned from the guests that we have on board, and the conversations that we have. Today I've learned something very interesting about yawning. I would say it's a mysterious space, uncharted. My lesson number 1, I didn't know there's a device. That device you showed us that measures or tracks the energy in a room and is able to get data about the atmosphere. Quite interesting. You mentioned the device was researched about 30 years ago, and up until now, by major universities. You mentioned the University of Princeton?
It's Go Weird, who have just won in 2023. They won the Institute of Noetic Science Award for this device. So it's very exciting, brand new research, which is everything that we're doing is at the cutting edge of newness, and we don't know where it's going, and it's beautiful. So there's so much scope for people to come and play and have fun actually with life, because when you don't know what you are moving into, it's also very exciting. If you can get past that scary stage, the yawn isn't scary. It's part of us. We know it. We're really familiar with it. So it just allows us to play with something that we're really familiar and comfortable with in a different way, because all we're doing is turning it upside down and inside out and looking at it that way.
Yeah. My lesson number 2 is about research. When you research, do homework about uncharted spaces, you will take center stage and become an authority. I believe, Rachel, you are an authority in the Great Big Yawn, a consultant in that space. So research takes you places. Be bold, be firm, go for it. It doesn't matter how the while we look at you, but go for it. My third lesson from today's conversation is that your experiences as an individual, your past life, your pain points or your hurting moments, what drew you into developing a passion to help others in the space of mental health. It's not something that is far-fetched, something you lived yourself, you experienced it, and you're able to, when you tell your story, one will see authenticity and would see your work is believable because you've lived it and you're finding a solution to mental health challenges and issues from a place of experience. Number 4 is paying attention when your device is doing data research or the data you're collecting. You mentioned the bell curve. Someone may not know what the bell curve is. The bell curve is the normal averages, something that is an outlier or something that is way below. So your work is data driven, and you're doing mixing the scientific parts with the spiritual parts, with the cultural part, with the emotional parts. So you're constructing your research about the yawn from perspective that the laws, I would say, the laws of science and the other social laws or social constructs would perceive it, which is quite interesting and impressive. Because once that data is framed in those constructs, the work can be tested, measured scientifically, and also the outcomes and the outputs are actually seen. Lesson number 5, and last but not least, we are human beings and not human doings. Yeah, we are people who become and not be do. So we ought to be self-aware and define our why, because once we are self-aware and our why is constructed with clarity and with authenticity, it is easy for us to make choices and make decisions that are good for us and of course later are good for others. I'll throw in probably a bonus lesson. Number 6 is that your college has already been cleared or certified by the scientific council, something like that. You'll just repeat that for us. So what I'm trying to say here is if you have an idea, you have something that is uncharted, be bold. I mean, go for it. You never know. I mean, the authorities could have said, wait a minute, what are you talking about, the yawn? And they say no. Yeah, but the medicine space actually was excited about your work and your research and said, wait a minute, we need to know more, we need to learn more about this undiscovered yawn reflex, which has happened since time memorial. Human beings have been doing it forever. And probably as we wrap up, I would like you to tell us what sparked you, Rachel, to say this yawn is a unique human reflex and I should go there. Why not the laugh but the yawn? Because I mean, I can't get my mind around it. It's quite interesting.
It's a really interesting question.
Yeah.
Because I yawn so much, I know I have transitioned into a new state because I will innately giggle straight after it. So I don't force a laugh. I don't have to force laughter. I know there are laughter workshops and lots of beautiful therapies that incorporate laughter, but the yawn, when you've completed it and it feels good, you inevitably laugh anyway. You will automatically go into that giggle. And for me, everything that we do is not about forcing anything. It's about allowing.
That's interesting, because rarely would someone yawn and then follow that with a cry. Sincerely, I mean, a laugh.
Well, actually, people do have tears.
Natural.
Many people will yawn and yawn and yawn, and their face will be covered in tears because they are releasing.
Tears, but not a cry.
Not a cry. No, not a cry. But they are releasing tears.
Releasing tears out of excitement or something from a good place.
It's old information coming out of your body. If you think of a thermoregulation scientist is investigating, does the yawn cool us down?
Wow. Interesting. Whoa.
if we are
This is deep
inflamed,
stuff.
if we are inflamed with information and the yawn is helping get out that inflammation, which is to me where the dragon and the snake come in, that old because when you yawn, I sometimes feel like a dragon. I think I've turned into a dragon. There's so much heat coming out. It's
interesting.
It's so interesting. It's so much fun.
Wow.
There's so much we can just throw out there, and we don't know the answers, but it's fun to think it.
Any last words before we close our discussion today?
Be contagious. Be a contagious yawner and celebrate the next person that you see yawning as if they are the most incredible, beautiful, wonderful soul you have ever met. And just give them one snippet of information that you've learned today about the yawn, and then watch their reaction. And then let us know their reaction, because it's the reaction that tells you the story about why this is powerful.
Wow, that's interesting. Well, thank you so much, Rachel, for your time. I am extremely inspired and elated about your research about the Great Big Yawn and the lessons around it and the science and the social construct around it. Quite very exciting. I'll admit once again, this is uncharted for me, and it's a place which is news, and news by definition. To me, it's a space I'd never ever thought. People will put down their time, lives, resources, and their energy to do homework and research about a natural human reflex that is as simple as a yawn that every human being, I believe, created, who is alive, has yawned at least once in
and
their
if it's
lives.
bringing such a beautiful smile to your face, Richard, job done as far as I'm concerned. Job done.
Yes, the job is done. So our viewers, thank you so much for tuning in. Until we meet again, Rachel, it's been a pleasure. It's been a very, very power-packed conversation. Rachel, thank you for your time. I know you're very busy running your college, doing your consultancy work, writing your second book, and also doing all the other things that you do. It's been an honor, you sparing this time and having a conversation with us, taking it off your busy schedule. And sorry about your moment today. We shared offline. I believe you will have healing in that space. And yes, I believe these are issues that are part of life. But thank you for sharing it offline, something personal. I believe probably after that experience, you yawned and felt much better.
Absolutely, I did. Had a good laugh as well.
All right. Thank you. Until we meet again. Hopefully, this may not be the first time we are hosting you on Ask the Author. I know our audience is going to be very excited, and hopefully, God willing, we'll reach out to you again to give us a little more perspective about the Great Big Yawn. Until we meet again, our audience, bye-bye, and bye-bye to you, Rachel.
Thank you very much, Richard.